The Annulus. Journey into the unknown. Through the Vortex. Y. Sengyoung. Copyright at 2020 Y. Sengyoung. All rights reserved. The characters and events portrayed in this book are fictitious. Any similarity to real persons, living or dead, is coincidental and not intended by the author. No part of this book may be reproduced, or stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, photocopying, recording, or otherwise, without express written permission of the publisher. Chapter 13. The Habitat. Conference room at Chernobyl Nuclear Power Station Control Station. Professor Anatoly, drone tracking of the light clouds confirm their position over the most radioactive parts of the nuclear complex. Professor Brown, we believe that they have not taken any of the fissionable materials yet. They could be studying the reactor for some reason or another. The boron lead and cement from the attempts to stop the reactor number 4 from undergoing a chain reaction may be slowing them down. Ken Harding, if they begin to harvest the radioactive material inside the reactor number 4, there will be a containment breach and then risk of nuclear fallout is very real. Alistair, while we may have accidentally introduced them to depleted uranium and set this trend in motion, we still do not understand why they need these materials. Professor Anatoly, from the data you have given us, there is every possibility that they are here to do exactly that, finding and extracting heavy mass materials to their place of origin. It can be another dimension, or it may be another part of the galaxy or elsewhere within our present universe. Ken, Ron, if their process of mass transfer is through a vortex, then mass transfer may be a process where matter is created at the other end just as it disappears from this end. Ron, what about Jake then? Ken, we really don't understand the mass transfer function these light clouds perform. My AI VR imaging of Jake's passage through the annulus show that there is a good chance Jake made a safe transfer to the other side. Ron looked at him with hope in his eyes and then immediately asked, how do we get Jake back home? Professor Brown, Ken, shame on you, giving Ron these false hopes based on your unfounded theories. We do not even know the intention of these entities. With the data we have, we do not understand their mass transmission process at all. All we can hypothesize that these light clouds are not intelligent beings. No, let me put it another way. From the X-rays of their internals and their energy emissions, we can only guess that they are transmission gateways for the mass transfer process. General Wayne walked into the conference room and stood in the front of the conference room with the combined team from Ukraine and the USA. General Wayne, we have a critical situation on our hands. The best scientific brains of the entire world have been analyzing the data we have collected on these light clouds, and so far, this is what we know. These light clouds do not seem to be living entities but some sort of energy device that can transfer mass. They have made several appearances worldwide, starting from an incident in Orlando, then to Mexico, California, and then here at Chernobyl and Fukushima in Japan. Now there are reports of these entities at various other nuclear power plants around the world and at steel stockyards, storage yards for iron and metals of all kinds. Our power grids are also being tapped into by these light cloud entities for the purposes of setting up these energy domes we have seen. The situation is not good. Even our most advanced weaponry has not been able to stop the actions of these entities. Alistair, but I thought that at Diablo Canyon, our tank and artillery fire using depleted uranium shells stopped the light clouds. Colonel Owen, when we fired depleted uranium shells at these things, we thought they had really been repelled. But subsequent firings at other locations where they appeared only repeated the temporary curtailment of their activities. When hit by the shrapnel they shrink and retreat for a while, and after a pause they return and just resume what they are doing. So, the depleted uranium ammo is not the weapon we thought we had to defeat or even deter them. And, must we use force to handle every situation we cannot understand? The firing of the depleted uranium ammunition can lead to radioactive contamination. Just as the military tried to cover up the effect that the depleted uranium had on our troops during Iraq wars of 1991 and 2003, so will the uranium shrapnel create as big an environmental hazard as what we left behind in Fallujah. We may be creating exactly what we are afraid of the light clouds may be doing to our nuclear power materials. General Wayne, Ms. Waterston, that is something you do not have to worry about. And why not stop covering up and tell us what the military is hiding from us? Colonel Owen spoke to General Wayne but was rebutting and indirectly. Colonel Owen, we have deployed survey teams at Diablo Canyon and found no environmental contamination, and I mean zero. Our sweeps of these locations show that there is no shrapnel fallout from the depleted uranium shell fire. The light clouds seem to have absorbed all the shrapnel that hit them, and when they re-emerge from the dome, they seem to sweep the area and clean up every little bit of depleted uranium. General Wayne, very reassuring to hear, Colonel Owen. Well, Miss Waterston, that should reassure your well-intentioned concerns. So, let us move on. And, well, yes and no. Since we are on the topic of the military secrecy, being locked up here and are not getting all the news that we would be getting if we are not stuck here. What other measures are the world's military forces taking that we should know and talk about? Ken quickly intervened to defuse the situation. They absorbed all the uranium? Professor Brown, Anatoly, and I have come to the same assumption, and that gave us the idea that can be extremely useful to us. And, Ken, do not try to change the subject. I am upset because now that the world's general population know of these light clouds and their actions, there must be public panic and all kind of stories about these entities, and I am stuck here and not there covering these events. General Wayne, all of you get all the news and information that we have on these light clouds on your smartphones. There is no jamming of telecom transmissions nor censorship of any news. The world's governments have met in urgent session in the United Nations and agreed to be open about the visit of these light clouds. We felt that any censorship or news blackout just will not work in this age of social media. As for the team we have here, we just do not want you to be distracted with the world stories about the national emergencies in many countries and the declaration of martial law to maintain public law and order. There are urgent consultations being made at the United Nations and intergovernmental agencies to formulate and coordinate our responses. We are under no illusion what situation we are in. If these entities continue their actions, we are looking at global catastrophe from various scenarios ranging from radioactive material spillage, power blackouts of our cities and industries. Already the worldwide public unrest is fast leading to panic and mass hysteria. There is every risk that the world's economy and commerce as we know of it will cease to function if the light clouds continue with their activities in a prolonged or widespread manner. Professor Brown then stood and presented a forecast what the actions of the light clouds mean to the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, it is clear from even the most sanguine of forecasts that we have before us is an extinction-level event. The light clouds have appeared not just over our nuclear power stations but also every scrap yard, and iron and uranium mines. They are stripping the world of our resources and tapping into the world's electricity transmission system wherever they can and somehow using the energy to execute their mass transfer. Cities everywhere are facing brownouts. The world economy will collapse within 3 months. Already stock markets around the world have suffered major falls in the last week since their first appearance in Diablo Canyon and now Chernobyl and Fukushima. General Wayne, the world's governments have appointed United States of America as the lead nation and with the co-leadership from Ukraine here in the Chernobyl location. The Russians, Japanese, and Chinese have set up monitoring teams and they are linked in real time to our video images, discussions and actions of this team. Our mission is to stop these things at whatever the cost before they destroy the world. Various options for action have been suggested and most of these involve military strikes with the most advanced weaponry we possess. We have in you the best combined science and military team with the hands-on experience with these light cloud entities. Colonel Owens will now present the best options for countermeasures that we have. Colonel Owens, Plan A is a nuclear strike at these things and hope that either that will stop them, or at least they will absorb the energy of the nuclear blast and return to where they come from. Ken, no, that is not a good plan. I want to point out to everyone that they absorb mass and not raw energy. Energy from the high voltage lines is only used for mass transmission process. The blasts from our bombs will lay waste to entire areas of our world. We will do to ourselves what we fear these light clouds may do to us, but only instantly and on even more widespread areas. Colonel Owens, Plan B is to place nuclear bombs into the dome and hope that they will be transported to the other side by the dome and those light cloud entities. Then when the timer goes off on the nuclear devices on the other side, they go kaboom. Professor Brown, we have no idea how these light clouds will react with the nuclear devices and whether the devices will survive the journey to the other side and still activate. Colonel Owens, our nuclear weapon specialists assure us we have a good chance that this will work. And if they do not pick up the bombs, do we then rush in and defuse these bombs? Plan B is just a time-delayed version of Plan A. Why does the military think blowing up things is the only way to resolve issues? Ken is right. We need to communicate, and since all our efforts with these light clouds have failed, our only chance is to get a team over to the other side, wherever that is, and find out what and why they're doing what they're doing. We must find a way to convince them to stop what they're doing here. I say that we send a team through the vortex to the other side. General Wayne, Dr. Harding, we have prepared for such a contingency. There is a vehicle designed for such a journey, and it is being prepped now with the boron aluminium lead cladding. The crew manning this vehicle will be protected from the rigors of the transition through the Annulus, ready to deal with whatever is on the other end. Professor Brown, we have christened this vehicle the Habitat. Ron, that is a plan that I can agree with. No one is going to send a bomb over there. I want to get my son back. I want to be on that vehicle as part of the team that goes over there. And I want in too. This will be the scoop of the century. Any reporter will die for this chance. Professor Brown, there is no consensus about what inside the blue dome. Our readings and very poor video images captured by the Defender unit shows an annulus at the center of the dome and a vortex leading from the annulus into somewhere. We cannot know if this annulus is a pathway to the other side. All matter may go through mass energy state change at the event horizon of the annulus. Whatever goes past that point may either be crushed by massive gravity forces or simply be changed to energy. Living beings will be killed instantly by the change of mass to energy. And we should send a live animal over in a Defender and track its life signs for as long as we can. Ken, while it is not a bad idea, we still cannot track the signal longer than say 1 to 2 minutes, as we found out at Sun Valley. That is when either it crosses the event horizon. Professor Anatoly, this idea to send a team through the annulus is too risky, and beyond the 2 minutes when the event horizon is crossed, all communications will be cut off. Unless, well, maybe if the equipment can continue to monitor the signals. Captain Evans, if we send a Defender unit with a live specimen in it and transmit the signals through a shielded umbilical link back to the communications equipment on a second Defender, following it in to further transmit the signals to our tracking equipment, then maybe we can track all signals up to the time the communications unit is also absorbed. That may extend the time to say 5 or 6 minutes. That should give a lot more data to analyze. Professor Brown, I agree. We can only guess that something can survive the mass transfer process to the other sides by the analysis of the data stream from the Defender unit, which seemed to continue for almost 2 minutes after we lost it in the blue circle or vortex at LA. For all we know, it could be still on terrestrial Earth when the signal was transmitted. Ken, I recommend we follow and equip 2 Defender units, one with a live specimen and the other with the communications equipment to transmit the signals back to us as long as it can. We use boron aluminium cladding within a lead plating to shield everything. That is the only method we can depend on to gather more intelligence on the annulus and the path to the other side. If it works, then we can consider the option of sending a team to the other side to negotiate with those in charge to stop what they are doing to our world. General Wayne, I have decided. Let us follow Dr. Harding's plan. More intelligence is always better than less. I agree we should not just drop bombs without knowing more about the dome and the annulus. Colonel, get your men to prepare everything by tomorrow 0600 hours. Professor Anatoly, can we count on the Ukrainians to prepare the live specimen to send through? And, hold it, just where is the other end of the annulus? Does anyone know? Ken, I do not think anyone can answer that question. At Sun Valley, the Defender's cameras were focused on both the view going into the vortex as well as the looking backwards as it entered the vortex. The shift of color to red of the rearward views and the yellow-green of the forward view is evidence of the Doppler shift of the Defender unit going through the vortex at close to the speed of light. It is vital that we remember the time signatures of the images of the defender going through the vortex run for minutes afterwards. If we consider time dilation effects, the defender was still transmitting for minutes after it entered the vortex, then the journey is an exceptionally long one to another part of the galaxy or even universe. And how is that possible? Professor Brown, when they form together to create the vortex, the gateway they create is an Einstein-Rosen bridge for mass transfer to take place. But an Einstein-Rosen bridge is unstable and cannot even let a single atomic particle through without the mass-energy phase change. Unless there is the esoteric or dark matter present which may hold the wormhole open long enough. Professor Anatoly, that is all theoretical conjecture and unproven at best. But if I apply my subatomic particle research to the analysis of the results from the defender going into the vortex, I found energy signals that indicate the presence of antimatter at the event horizon between the two worlds, ours and the other side. The interaction may help to create the vortex and maintain its stability. The blue blazing light is energy created from the mass interaction. Colonel Owens, based on the observations at various locations where the light clouds have failed to penetrate spent nuclear fuel silos, we have shielded the transit vehicle, called the Habitat, with composite armor of aluminium and lead plating clad with boron carbide. It should block out the energy process of the light clouds. We're going to wherever these light clouds have come from. And, hold on, isn't there a problem that we have overlooked? How do we get this vehicle aka Habitat through the Annulus? It's not like you can drive right through to the other side, wherever this is. Alistair, Ron and I have devised a series of depleted uranium plugs that on extension rods extended from the Habitat. That way we project the radiation outwards and hope to attract the attention of the light clouds. Professor Anatoly, for the journey of the Habitat through to the other side, we need them to open a vortex to let the Habitat through. So, Dr. Harding, Professor Brown and I have devised a trap to attract the light clouds. We assembled a series of fuel rods into a cage using the special equipment we have developed to handle highly radioactive materials. This cage will be mounted on the outside of the Habitat and we wait for the light clouds to take the bait. And Ron spoke up in turn to protest. Ron, that will take too long to fabricate, my son may be in trouble and need me sooner than later. Professor Anatoly, these fuel rod cages are being fitted to the Habitat now. And what if they refuse the bait? And the team gets vaporized in the Annulus? Or what if they take the bait and you get transported to the other side but in the process get converted to whatever they do to their transferred mass? You could all end up as lifeless blobs of organic goo on the other side. Ken, and anything is possible, that is why we are not taking you going with us. And, Ken, I am willing to take that chance. Colonel Owens, sorry Miss Waterston, the team will comprise only members with critically needed skills. And to answer your question, we can jettison our spent fuel bait should things turn bad and try to get out of the Annulus, but we do not know what is going to happen. And what critical skills? May I know who the team is? Colonel Owens, I will lead the team comprising of Professor Brown, Dr. Harding, and crew of Captain Evans, my executive officer, with Master Sergeant Joe Manning and Alistair to operate the Habitat. And Ron stood up to protest, we want to be on the team. Professor Anatoly, someone must have the nuclear physics expertise to guide the team, to interpret the observations, and I can do it better than anyone else. I should be on the team. Ken, Ron has laboratory hands-on practical skills. He and Alistair designed the mounting of fuel rod cages with the remote open-shut mechanism controlled from within the Habitat. And can provide alternate points of view on issues which we may need in a totally unknown environment on the other side. They should both come too. Colonel Owens, Professor Anatoly, your point is noted. We are after all a joint US-Ukrainian mission. Professor Brown, do you mind staying on this side? Someone must man the control desk tracking the Habitat. I can also agree to Ron joining us, he has hands-on skills at fixing things. Anyway, I need one more crew member to handle the equipment to keep the Habitat running at all shift hours. Professor Brown, I am a bit too old for this kind of adventures, so Professor Anatoly can go in my place. And, well, I can help with whatever equipment. Colonel Owens, no Miss Waterston, my decision has been made. And all disappointed and frustrated. Well, good luck to you going through. I really think I can help by going along. Colonel Owen, listen everyone, you all get some rest. The remote open-shut mechanism for fuel rod cage is under final testing and will be ready by tonight. We send the defenders through at 6 a.m. If all checks out, we plan for the habitat expedition once we have analyzed the data received. Everyone grab some sleep, and we start again at 0530 tomorrow. Colonel Owen spoke with General Wayne after the science team retired for the night. Sir, I do not like Dr. Harding's ideas about appeasement of whoever is on the other side of the Annulus. His insistence on that reporter and Waters' ton to join the team. Colonel, our experts at the Pentagon have already come up with a similar plan, but we have additional measures. You know of the shielded habitat vehicle we airlifted over. What I have not told you yet is that we have nukes, pulse cannon and high-energy laser weapons on that vehicle. The Russians are also adding some more nukes. Let us follow the scientists' plan, but we cannot wait. The President has instructed we push ahead with our plan at the utmost speed. So, send the 2 defenders through and we stand ready in the habitat. The moment we get telemetry that the 2 defenders went through safely, we follow in the habitat. We go to the other side and nuke those unknown aliens to Kingdom Come. That is our real plan. Preparations were rushed through the night to have everything was ready for the next day.